Hello students, today we are going to learn how to multiply a monomial by a polynomial. Before we do that, we're going to review the multiplication rules for exponents with the same base. When you have the same base, remember the rule a to the m times a to the n is equal to a to the m plus n. Okay, so in this multiplication problem, and this is all multiplication, we have coefficients, 2 and 6, and we have the variable m and the variable n. Now we can rearrange this, since it's all multiplication, in this way. 2 times 6 times m, and we can look at the powers that m has. M to the third plus m to the fifth times n to the third plus n to the fourth. So when we multiply exponent expressions with the same base, we simply add the exponents, and this is 12 m to the eighth, n to the seventh. And this expression, 12 m to the eighth, n to the seventh, is a monomial, since it's all multiplication. Okay, we are going to talk now about multiplying a monomial and a trinomial. Okay, an example would be negative x cubed times the quantity, or times the polynomial, 9x to the fourth, negative 2x cubed plus 7. Okay, the negative x cubed is the monomial being multiplied by the trinomial, that's in parentheses. And since this is enclosed in parentheses and this is outside the parentheses, this is a classic example of the distributive property. So all we need to do in order to do this problem is to distribute the negative x to the third to all three terms inside the parentheses. And you've been doing this in other. Okay, so when we distribute, we multiply the outside term by all of the terms inside the parentheses. So we take a negative x to the third and we multiply it times 9x to the fourth. And then we take a negative x to the third and we multiply it by a negative 2x to the third. And we take a negative x to the third and we multiply it by a positive 7. Now remember, when you have these terms inside the parentheses, this trinomial, each of the monomials, the sign that is in front of the term goes with it. That's why I took the negative with the 2x cubed. Okay, remember, when there's nothing next to a variable, the number 1 is there. Okay, so what we're going to do is first multiply negative 1 times 9, and we get negative 9. Then we're going to multiply negative x to, x to the third times x to the fourth, which we know is going to be x to the seventh. Next, we have a negative 1 times a negative 2, and that's going to be a positive 2, because a negative times a negative is a positive. X to the third times x to the third is going to be x to the sixth. That's right, we added the exponents. And lastly, a negative 1 times a positive 7 is a negative 7 times x to the third stays the way it is. It is in standard form because the degrees of each of the monomials are decreasing, and this is your answer or your product. Okay? Here's another example. Let's write it down again so we have plenty of space. And then what I'd like you to do is to pause the video and work on distributing the positive 5n to all three of the terms inside the parentheses. And when you come back, you can check your work. Okay, students, what I've done is I have shown the distribution of the 5n being multiplied by each of the monomials inside this trinomial 3n cubed minus n squared plus 8. 5n times 3n cubed is going to be 5 times 3 is 15. And n to the first times n to the third is going to be n to the fourth, so 15 n to the fourth. A positive 5 times a negative 1. I put the negative 1 next to the n because we remember that 1 is in front of any variable that doesn't have a coefficient. So 5 times a negative 1 is a negative 5. N to the first times n to the second is n. 1 plus 2, n to the third, or n cubed. And lastly, 5 times 8 is a positive 40, and times n is a positive 40n. And our final trinomial is 15n to the fourth minus 5n cubed plus 40n. Okay, here are some practice problems that I'd like you to work on. You can work on numbers 9 through 14 right underneath, but when you get down here, numbers 29 to 34, do them on a separate piece of paper. Remember, all you're going to do is distribute the outside term, the monomial, to both of the terms or all three of the terms inside the parentheses. Even if the monomial is on the other side, like in number 10, you see 2b is on the back of it rather than on the front. If you don't feel comfortable doing it that way, feel free to write the 2b in the front and just reverse the order. 2b times the quantity b plus 11 is going to be 2b times b, which will be 2b what? Squared, if squared is correct, if that's what you said. And then 2b times 11 is going to be 2 times 11 times b, which is a positive 22b. Okay, so work on 9 through 14. If you have any questions, I'm in the room. And remember, whenever you do these, always rewrite them in standard form in case they're not in standard form. Okay, work well and raise your hand, ask any questions, and I'd be happy to help.